morning, everyone, and welcome to American Scousers Morning Coffee or Tea with American Scouser. It is Monday. Grumpy is in the house. E- Technical difficulties. Obviously, we're on air late. I thought it was just going to be me with technical difficulties, but lots going on. You guys can see it. This sucks. I really hate it. I don't know how you do it, Natish. I really feel like I'm like about to take off like a helicopter or some shit. What's up, man?
I think it's because you also have the mic part of it. That's what makes you feel like you're in a helicopter. I feel like without the actual mic part, it feels fine. I like it this way. But yeah, it's we're here at least, right? I mean, the people can hear us and see us, and that's the most important thing of anyone's week ever is that they can see us.
Yes. Well, you maybe. I don't know about seeing me is gonna be a thing, but yeah, it's so yeah, lots going on. But anyway, obviously it was like the birthday festivities and stuff. So part of the birthday gifts I got, because since they know cool Blackhawk, thank you. But this is gonna be more like Black Hawk Down in a second, but because I do have some occasional freezing issues. But anywho, so part of the deal was since I do, we do a lot of streaming, and we were talking about streaming like FIFA and stuff like that, and obviously Layla knows a lot about the stuff. So like they got me this entire setup I have in front of me now, still being put together. Yesterday I used it as a distraction from Super Bowl. Like literally worked on this for like 3 4 hours trying to get everything to work. So it's like a dual monitor setup, and that the table things angle around and stuff like that. Cameras here, that's there, all that kind of stuff. But mind you, I do have to get a new desktop, which that was the only thing that came out of this is like, okay, I'm definitely gonna need a new desktop. I was thinking of getting one anyway. So trying to make it work for the time being to a desktop that's seen its better days, almost as old as I am, kind of a deal. So the video cards are kind of struggling. I was struggling. Suddenly the sound wasn't working, even though it used to be. I have my sound hooked up to the stereo because I play music as I work and stuff. But just full fledged chaos yesterday. And then the 49ers game happens, which was really, really brutally heartbreaking. Did you get to watch Super Bowl? Did you do Super Bowl party festivities
I
or what?
so I actually I skipped out on the Super Bowl because I had purchased movie tickets to go see. Yeah, well, you gave me a look like how could you go to the movies? Well, here's the thing, Timothy. In my brain, when I bought these tickets last week, I was like, "Oh, Sunday showing? Great, let's do it." And then Sunday rolled around, I was like, "Oh shit, it's the Super Bowl. I forgot." But we still went anyway. So I didn't watch it, but I caught the highlights. Uh, Big bummer. I'm sorry. I feel bad. If Moody hits that extra point, that could be a completely different outcome to that
Yes.
game, unfortunately. And I think maybe that might be something that weighs heavily on it. But to be fair, as a rookie, he hit some pretty long field goals, and he, he
Yeah.
he has he had some pretty good composure all around. It just didn't work out.
Yeah, hard to put it on him. I was thinking the same thing, but then yeah, he did some like ridiculous like long field goals, like 53 and 55 or something like that. But then they did that stupid gave the ball back on that punt deal where it hits the guy's foot and shit like that.
Yeah,
Yeah, just like I thought some bad calls going forward. Not referee calls, but like like offensive calls and stuff. But yeah, that was painful, man. That's like a painful pain. You know what I noticed, by the way? This is what I'm missing. So we might have to start a 49ers podcast or something. I do not have the therapy session afterwards.
mm,
So like if something happens with Liverpool, we do the post match, we do the therapy, it's out.
yeah.
Same thing with Fenerbahce. Like we had the podcast with my brother, so we'll do that. Then it's out. I mean, yesterday they tied in the morning, so yeah, it was a bad sport day overall. So we're doing the pod, and towards the end, we're just like laughing and stuff like that. And the dudes that were coming on air later were like, "We lost points. Why are you guys so happy?" We're like, "Yeah, you missed the beginning where we were like, this is the end of the therapy session, and we're in good shape now." I do not have that for the 49ers. Was it really sure what we were watching? Yeah, the whole I don't know, like it's kind of like forced. Mind you, everybody and anybody was a thing. The thing that I probably hated the whole about the Taylor Swift. What is your take on this whole Taylor Swift? Uh,
I think
like
I think I think a lot
praise?
of I think a lot of guys are getting unnecessarily angry about something that doesn't matter at all. I think the coolest thing that I saw was a bunch of dads that took the opportunity that had daughters watch this now. It might not be for the football, it might be for Taylor, but they sat down and they were watching Chiefs games with their dad because they wanted to see Taylor Swift. And then they could spend that time together watching the game. I don't find anything wrong with it. I understand that at the end of the day, it's a game and it's not about, the wives and the girlfriends. But she is, and I mean, I'm this is gonna be like the fucking De Bruyne and Gerard thing. Probably that I get to lick down. I don't believe. I think she's talented. I don't think she's as great of a songwriter as as the general population thinks she is. But I think as someone who is sort of a role model for I guess just younger girls in general, it's not a terrible thing to have. There could be worse, and that's where I'm at with it. I don't like the Chiefs overall anyway because you get that sense of you don't like teams that win all the time. And so the same thing happened with Brady, but after Brady left the Patriots, like you were able to appreciate what the Patriots did so much more. Looking back on it, same thing with the Chiefs. Like right now, it's just annoying to see them playing for every Super Bowl. And in 20 years, look back and go, they had a pretty goddamn good team.
Yeah. Yeah, the fragile masculinity, says Ryan. I think that's what I mean. It's like over the. I don't know why it's a big deal. Like I understand it gets old. Like when they constantly like stand over there to show her. See, like Cersei says, it's about the fans. Camera's never panned in on the fans. I have news for you, Cersei. A lot actual fans could not go to that game. Those are not fans in that game because most fans can't afford, like a grand, 2 grand, and stuff like that to be able to go to the game. So
Well,
nobody
that's
is. I
just
don't know
for the
how many
flight.
fans. Yeah,
Like that's not even for the ticket. That's just for the flight, man. I mean, the tickets are like 5, 6, up to 12, whatever. It's
yeah.
crazy.
So it's not a lot about fans. It's kind of like the Champions League final, right? Like it's like some people get to go in, but most of the people are just like celebrities and corporate stuff and all that. Um, I was more honestly, I could not care less about the. I mean, yeah, like her boyfriend is there, whatever. Like I think it's more on them constantly going there, showing her. That's one thing. Like it's not like she's saying constantly show me. That's the TV
Right.
channel's decision to do so. So don't get mad at Taylor. Get mad at freaking NBC or Fox or whatever. I am actually more irked and annoyed at all the fans wearing Go Taylor's boyfriend stuff yesterday on my feeds. I threw up in my mouth several times scrolling down. But yeah, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's kind of like the Champions League final, I guess. It's way too long, halftime show and stuff like that. I mean, if it wasn't for 49ers, I don't know if I would be able to stick it out. It was a great game, I'm assuming, for the neutral as well, though, yesterday.
It was close and went to overtime. I think that's as a neutral, that's kind of what you hope for any game, right? That it's at least close and enjoyable to the end. I think if anything is to be talked about and to be upset about in general in the NFL is just the how freaking long it is, right? You don't
Yeah.
need all of those commercials all the time. And obviously I get the Super Bowl. It's more it's more about the entertainment of the people watching at home more than it is the game itself sometimes. And that's
Yes.
I was watching a video of some guy was going around in the bar asking what's bigger, the Super Bowl or the World Cup. And he was at a bar in the States, in Florida, and everyone was like, "Oh, Super Bowl, the Super Bowl." And I'm just thinking, like, no, it's just, I mean, might be the biggest for entertainment, but as far as the actual biggest, sporting final, there's nothing bigger than what half of the world turns into every 4 years or tunes into every 4 years. So yeah, it's just a big old entertainment piece. I just think if there were less commercials, I would find it more enjoyable and I'd be able to watch it more regularly because I used to watch it a lot when I was younger, but the last 4 to 5 years, man, it's so difficult to have to see all the stoppages. I love 45 minutes plus 4, 15-minute break, 45 minutes plus 6, done. Like it's so perfect, right? It's great.
Yeah, 7 million per 30-second commercial, huh? That's craziness. Honestly, like, yeah, it's way too long. I think that's not that American arrogance that we can do without calling it the World Championship and the World Champions and stuff like that. It'd be like you and me inventing a game, playing it, whoever wins is the World Champion or something like that. But yeah, it was like I say, I only missed the after the loss, missed the therapy part of things. So my therapy was, and I put this on Discord, right? So let's throw Anon under the bus over here. I put this on Discord that I feel bad for the kid who's gonna get against me on FIFA now when I go online on PlayStation. You would think that should be a warning sent out to all the folks out there. Get offline, right? Like turn off your PlayStations now, kind of thing. And what happens as I'm beating up on like this whoever the hell that was, Anan volunteers his services.
He could he not go back in that channel and see how many times I have warned the people, don't play Timochin unless you feel like you want to get spanked 4-5-0 and think about the fact that maybe as you're sitting there playing going, do I really even know how to play this fucking game at all? That's what Timochin makes me feel like whenever I stopped playing FIFA because of this man.
I have ruined him. Yes. I mean, here's the thing. He's actually not. It was a typical game where the first half was close. You guys will be shocked to find out that he has Thiago in the starting lineup. And I played this game probably way too much. So I play a lot of people who play with Liverpool because I mean Liverpool is one of the top teams to play with now. I think because of all the talent and the speed and stuff like that. And then you have people will play with PSG and Bayern and Barcelona and Real and stuff like that. I don't think I've ever seen somebody who plays with Liverpool and has Thiago in the starting 11 on FIFA. But hey, credit to him, fair play to him. He sticks by his word. He did have him, Soboslai, and Nunez in the starting 11. And I was like, you know what? At least he's a man of his word. But it did start tight. It was like 2-2 at one point,
Whoa.
but then ended up 5-2. In the Remember, like when we did the tournaments, like the first half is always like figuring out what the other guy is doing. It's like, oh, he's doing this move and stuff like that. And once I put the clamps on him, he says he has to learn defending. That's what he says.
If I ever scored 2 goals against you in a game, I would have been jumping up and down, even
You
if I lost
scored
10-2.
2 goals against me in a game, whatever. But Tish is really good, by the way. He says this and he sells it under, but he shouldn't have quit. He retired too early, so
It's
might bring him back.
partly due to this stupid PC that that I need to get checked out. We both have these technological issues now.
Yes, but now the new desktop is on the way, so we're gonna
Awesome.
be ready to stream and do all the gaming stuff and all that too, so you guys can see that. Actually, speaking of that, so the Patreon is out. We That's gonna be some content, for example, that's gonna be on that side only, not on the regular YouTube channel. So I know there's a lot of people that are like our regulars over here, especially in the morning, that have already done the free subscription. But then the free, I think, like even the first tier, I think gets you a lot of the like specialty contents we're gonna put on there, and this gaming thing will definitely be one of them. Once I get this new desktop, of course, all I had to do was look at one desktop, and now my feed is like, how about this? How about that? We make computers too, and stuff like that. So, okay, so let's get back to the boys. At least that was the highlight of the weekend, which probably says a lot for the weekend. I mean, obviously the birthday festivities were awesome. Sporting wise, that was the highlight. Let's go with that one because yeah, we had that in the morning on Saturday, and then went down to Milwaukee, watched Jasmine's thesis concerts, which is a great stress off of her shoulders. So that was really awesome. So an awesome birthday overall. Setting this up yesterday and stuff, and then Super Bowl happened. Damn it. Okay, but Liverpool, 3 points. Happy with it. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously you can't be sad with it, but like, what were you happy with it the most? I guess.
Just a nice professional win. I think it's one of those things where we had gone into it thinking home at Anfield after a loss against Arsenal, like we need to come out swinging kind of deal that so to make sure that kind of you bounce back. And I think the first 10-15 minutes or so they weren't swinging as much as we would have hoped them to be, and it felt a little shaky. But at the end of the day, it's the Premier League. You have 20 clubs. You have teams that are capable of beating another most of the time. In the right situation. And I think it was just a good professional win. That was a little shaky, but it was nice to see all three up front get a goal, and all three with their heads. So three-headed goals between Diogo, Darwin, and Diaz. The triple D, as I've seen online. This is the newest iteration. Move over Neymar, Suarez, and Messi. It's the triple D now. Is where we're at.
Wait, I had not heard that. That's pretty good, actually. Yeah, I mean, I think it's look. I think sometimes we look at fixtures and say, "Oh, this is going to be an easy one," and because it's on like paper and stuff like that. But it's the Premier League, man. You never know. I mean, you saw everybody. I mean, it was the running joke all day Friday because somebody posted like, "Hey, Everton can really get something out of this game against City," and everybody just was like laughing it off and stuff. But then, hey, before you know it, they didn't almost make it happen. So you never know. No game is easy. Got to get the 3 points. And ugly or not, sometimes you got to get to 3 points. I don't think this was that ugly, but Nunez scoring, Keller getting game time and doing well. Company crying. Was he crying? What was he crying about? Good score line, good day. Yeah, what was
I
Company
I think
crying
he was
about?
just complaining about the McAllister foul, if you will, on
Oh,
Jota's goal. That's the one thing I can remember that he was really, or not Jota's goal. It was Diaz's goal. Sorry. The one that's the only time I can remember him really outwardly whining and
yeah, that's right. That's
being
right.
upset.
I know. What did you think of that one?
I I think it's a 50-50 ball, and you just let it play. I think that's where I'm at overall with all those types of moments. If it's truly 50-50, it's not like McAllister went in for the intent to kick the actual player. He was going to kick the ball, and he happened to then, after the fact, get a piece of the player. But it looked like he took more damage from it than
Yeah, what
the
kind of
guy that he
shin
kicked
guards is that guy
anyway.
wearing?
Yeah, I was gonna say they're not the little ones like this big that the ref found on the ground at one time. So yeah, I think it's one of those you just let it play kind of. I think we need more of those moments in the sport again where you just need to let them play. It's a physical sport at the end of the day, and I think I'm starting to feel like the old guy in the rocking chair. Like back in my day, these guys used to be able to punch each other. No, you should. We need that physicality still because it is a physical sport, and a lot of the shoulder to shoulder stuff that's getting called is annoying. And then you have guys that get pushed in the back, shoulder to the back, and that doesn't get called. It's just I think it's more so the consistency, and I don't know where the line gets drawn for the physicality, but I think overall it's just it's a bang bang play, and you let it go.
Yeah, I mean, what Sarkis is right. I think initially the Burnley players almost made like an attempt to say it's looked offside or something like that because Harvey was so wide open on the rights. It looked like, wait, he must be off or something like that. I mean, it wasn't even close. That was the only arguments that lasted 3 seconds that were made by Burnley players. I don't think even the dude wasn't saying anything because yeah, it almost felt like he didn't even feel it. I mean,
Yeah,
Ryan says he had no reaction. Yeah, I mean, it looked like he didn't even feel it. I don't think it was. But and I do agree to that. It's kind of like I look at the game, for example. It's weird. Like you even look at we were just talking about the Super Bowl. I'm okay with like stuff like letting the contact sport play itself out, right? Like not holding on everything, foul on everything, and stuff like that. But then it has to be. It's hard to get that consistency. That's the problem. Usually, that's what happens. It's hard to get the consistency of them like calling that in the third minute and then calling it again later on. And that's usually the part that I have a problem with because it doesn't happen. It feels like.
I think it's really difficult to get consistency across different games because different matches are played differently, different players, different emotions, this and that. But like you're saying, there should be consistency at least. The least we could ask for is to have the same consistency throughout the whole game with the same ref. And I think
Yes.
that's especially when you get into it. There have been moments, for us and against us, where there have been things called in the third, fourth minute, and then like you're saying towards the end, it's one of those like if it won't get called in the box, but it'll get called out on the field situations. And it's like, well,
Yes.
a foul is a foul, whether it's in the penalty box or it isn't. There's just a bigger consequence depending on where that foul is. And I think that's the hardest part. It's sort of like the NBA with makeup calls. Like, no, you don't just blow a phantom whistle because you missed the call before. You
Yep.
still just you just ref it as is. And I think that's the most frustrating thing that we see is that we don't get that.
And I think that's when players get frustrated more as well. Like obviously the fans, doesn't matter how the game was called, right? The fans are going to be upset whenever the call doesn't go their way, even if it wasn't called earlier. I understand that. But I know at times what happens is like, when you start out a game and you're kind of like, you do a little tug and he goes like, oh, okay, it's gonna be one of those games where everything is going to be called. And that's fine. But then 3 minutes later, the dude does something to you. You're like, okay, so we're not going to call that though. We're only going to call it when I do these things, kind of a deal. And I think that's when players get like more frustrated, and you can kind of tell that they're getting frustrated with the calls overall. Um, Football flashback is here. All four goals came through headers. Crazy when you think about it. If only, yeah, I'm sure Football Flashback probably has access to betting lines that are crazy like that. Because I don't know if there's like props like that, but I'm sure his bookie has all kinds of those. Happy Monday, though, he says. What is it? Isn't there a name for this Monday? Because it's the one after Super Bowl. Isn't this the one where everybody calls in because they're hungover? Or did I just make this up?
I don't know if there's a name for it, but that's definitely what happens. It's a holiday that isn't recognized officially. Obviously, I think that's. I'll try and find it. I'll try and find it.
Yeah, just off to Google. Yeah, see, I had like that's another thing I have live. I have like the second monitor over here. I can uh Google things as we go. Consistency is by far the biggest. Yeah, I think so too. I think that's with everything, right? But I understand you're never going to have, and I think players understand that you're never going to have consistency between two different refs.
Hmm.
In terms of like the simple things we're talking about, like letting things happen, letting it like the physicality level of the game, it's gonna change from game to game. It's always been like that. And sometimes refs come out with an agenda too, like, hey, I'm not gonna let anything go on this one or whatever. And you can kind of like sense that in the beginning of the game. I think consistency in terms of like what is a red cards and like those things I want to be consistent. The physicality things, I almost think, I mean, I don't know about you, but I almost get to take it natural at this point because over the years you play this game and you play with different refs and they all call it differently, but the rules should be all freaking the same regardless. But you can kind of let certain physicality things like I guess change.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the crux of it is that specific rules that get broken should be dealt with accordingly. All the gray areas are left to the ref in that moment, and that's okay. And then I think that's where everyone would be comfortable with. Like Ryan is saying, giving yellows for wasting time. So inconsistent on that. Yeah, absolutely. There are moments. I think it was in the United game yesterday. Bruno Fernandes kicked the ball away twice during a stoppage, and that was something that Trent got carded for within the first 2 minutes of the season. It felt like,
Yep.
and so we know that there have been moments in past seasons where there was a certain focus on a specific thing that got called for the first 4 or 5 weeks, and then as the season went on, you start watching, and you're like, okay, wait a minute, this was called 4 weeks ago, and
Yep.
then this was called for, and then everything just fades away. So yeah, I think when we want to make sure with the consistency, like you're saying, is it's tough game to game with the physicality, but at the end of the day, the actual rules should be punished accordingly. And if there's any bit that can be as consistent as possible, it is the people in the booth that are working for VAR because
Yeah.
they have the ability to be the most consistent as they can see everything they need to see to make a call. And you would think that, if anything, that is the one element of consistency that we could have. But unfortunately,
We
this is
don't.
where we're at.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I understand. I almost feel like beginning of the season they were like, that's a big problem, right? So, I mean, I look at heck the Fenerbahce game yesterday. Like everybody was on the ground at all times. It felt like to kill time because the game was tied and they were trying to escape with a point. And it's almost like, what do you expect the ref to do? I think the biggest thing that they've fed this with is head injury BS, which is not. I hate to say it's BS because it's serious, and they should actually. Soccer is kind of lame on. Feel like head injuries. Like you see people getting pummeled, and then they go to the sideline, they jog right back in. But now anybody who falls just holds their head because they know that's going to stop the game. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's just like touch their chest, arm, whatever. Just fall, hold your head,
Yeah.
and the game is going to stop. And I understand like they wanted to, speed up the game. So they're like, you know what, we'll show a yellow, set the tone early. But I think they're realizing then is okay, like you're not only setting the tone for time wasting, you're also setting the tone like if you give your right backer yellow in the beginning of the game, you kind of like putting them on the back foot the entire game. And doesn't matter in Trent's case as much, but he's not going to be able to defend.
There it is. I was waiting for it. It took 25 minutes and 35 seconds, but we got there.
I'm sorry, it was like a beach ball. I had to be slammed out. But yeah, I mean, like they're not going to be able to defend as well. And that's like the issue with it is, so they scaled back from it. Here's the inconsistency, right? This is what kills me. For example, yesterday, like Saturday, I was like, the fans were going nuts every time like Bernie's taking a goal kick and stuff like that. I'm like, you guys realize we're like using more time taking throw-ins than 6 Burnley throw-ins combined.
Our throw-ins are ridiculously long,
Yeah, I
especially
mean,
when
you would
Trent's throwing
think
it in.
those should be yellow.
Yeah,
Yeah, especially in China. I feel like that's just like a coincidence. You guys said the card in the crossfire, but I mean, there was one time it literally took 30 seconds, and normally, like, isn't that I was thinking that isn't that kind of like a bias on the ref's parts that he is assuming, hey, Burnley will probably kill time because they don't want the score. Liverpool won't kill time, so normally that would be if it was the other way around. I think the Burnley guy gets a yellow.
yeah. I don't know if it's more so when Trent does it, it almost looks like he is about to throw it in, right? Like he's just he looks the intent is there, whereas on the other side, maybe they're just really slow to pick up the ball, and then they're really
Yeah,
slow to look around. With Trent's like he's looking, he's going back and forth, he's looking a little bit. So I think that's the only saving grace of not getting the yellow there. But you're absolutely right, because if the roles were flipped, we would be pissed, and the ref would. And I think being at home too, the noise, you can't say that the noise sometimes doesn't play into some decisions. And it's not necessarily right or wrong. It's just how it is. When you have 55,000 people emit this loud boo when something just happens, like initially, like you have this. I mean, I've never been on the field and I've had that many people boo at me. But if I did, I would imagine it would make me make some calls every once in a while that would think, okay, maybe I'll just call this one to maybe get them off my back a little bit and then go from
I
there.
wonder if it's like I obviously I haven't been in that situation either, but this is their job, and I don't know if it's kind of like living next to the railroads. The first 2 nights, you wake up middle of the night every time a freaking train goes by. After a week, you're like just sleeping right through it. So like,
Probably,
what? I It's like
probably.
background noise all the time. Ryan says waiting for the fullback to take a throw is a pet peeve of mine. If you have the ball and ready to throw the
I mean, because you could throw it back to the fullback that's coming up, right? I mean, because there is space for that, so I get it.
See, in the past, when we had the throwing coach and stuff like that, you were like, hey, okay, they work on this a lot. It's almost like set pieces, if you will, right? It's being practiced. So, and I know at the time, like the teams that the dude was coaching had like the highest rate of like keeping possession from like throw-ins and stuff like that. So there was like an art and a science to it. So you were like, okay, like it's a set piece. It's almost like a corner kick where you have to get, you know, you have to wait till Trent goes over to that side or Robertson come over, so there's that whatever it is, right? So I understand that part of it, but then it looks like there was no plan all along, and you were like, "Well, he could have done the same
Well,
thing."
yeah, yeah, because it gets thrown to no one, and then you lose the ball, and you're like, "What was the entire purpose of this? Nothing. Maybe it was literally to waste time. I mean, because some of these guys, it's a good break for them. Give them 30 seconds to kind of stand around and catch their breath a bit. So that makes sense.
I'm always confused more with two things confuse me a lot in the game these days. One, why do teams kick off towards the corner when when the game starts? I know you want to put them on the back foot and push up and press, but you have the ball initially. You just gave it to him so you can press it.
Analytics, Timothy, analytics. I don't know what to tell you. There's some data is proving that is the way of moving forward is that is what they're meant to do, and that's my only answer to that is analytics, because that
Yeah,
seems to be
does
the driving
anybody have an
force.
explanation to this that they can maybe tell us? Because that really confuses me. Because, like I say, possession is so valuable in this day and age of soccer, right? So you recycle the ball if there's something not there or whatever. You make the other team run and stuff. And I understand counter pressing is important, but you have the ball. Like you could just build play, and you could tell people to push up. That's how it be. I just don't understand the whole concept of it. Um, the blue cards.
Two mentions of the blue cards this morning.
Yes, with the blue card, what will happen if a goalkeeper gets one for 10 minutes? That's a good question.
I think, and Sir Z also saying wait till the blue card's coming, going to make the game longer. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that part. Also, I think we're making a big hubaloo. Is that the right word? Is
I don't
it?
know, it sounded normal, but I think you made that up. Go ahead.
And now I made it worse.
We all know what it means. Yeah, you could have just kept going with it. Everybody was like,
So
we were all fine.
everything was fine, and I ruined it like always. So I think this is going to be something that's tested on a much smaller level in a much more amateur kind of league before it ever reaches any of the top leagues. I think going from nothing to 10-minute penalties is a really radical solution. I think what was talked about, maybe it was 4, 5, 6 months ago, was having 30 seconds to a minute where players, and then they do it now, it's about 30 seconds. If a player comes off, they can't come right back in right away until they get waved in, but maybe making it more closer to an actual minute as opposed to 10 minutes is way too long for anything in this sport. Like it doesn't make any sense. That's a ninth of the game. Like that is a ridiculously long time.
That is long,
Um,
actually, not that you mention it. Yeah.
yeah, when you convert it to like to hockey, penalties are 2 minutes, I believe, for the most part, unless they're
Two
major
or
penalties.
five, right?
Yeah, I think it's
Depends
either
on what it is.
2 or 5. So if it's two, it's 2 out of 60. So it's 1/30th of the game. That's a much smaller scale than more than a tenth of the game. Like that's ridiculous to have 10 minutes. So I think if there's a good starting point between 30 seconds to a minute and a half or whatever it might be to possibly, to curb some of that time wasting or the injury feigning, if you will. And also, I mean, we've mentioned it before, and I'll keep mentioning it. Go back and give guys yellow cards for diving. What can't you why can't you make rules where you retroactively go back and punish diving that wasn't called at the moment, to
Okay.
stop players from doing that as well? Because then that's going to make players stop doing that too. I don't know. I feel like there are solutions. We're just not getting there. We're trying to make the solutions a lot harder than they need to be.
That's a good point. Like the retroact, if you're trying to take certain things out of the sport, if you really wanted to, you could. Like like diving, right? Just go
Mhm.
watch Sterling and then, just ban him for 3 games after watching him for one game, for what wasn't called. And not only that, like the faking of the head injuries. I mean, it would only improve the player's acting skills. If nothing else, if it doesn't do anything, it will
And
improve their acting
and
skills.
that's fine. And then we'll see a better product on the field if they're acting, and they might even get nominated for it. But yeah, definitely, if you have those moments where we see it a ton, right? Where two guys are going for the ball, one guy puts his arm out just like this, maybe catches them around here
Yeah.
somewhere, and it suddenly goes like this. If you see that as a VAR, go, hey, Anthony Taylor, whatever, whoever's on the fucking pitch, yo, give him a yellow. He did not. His face was not touched at all. And maybe that could help curb some of that. But I don't know. What do I know? I'm just fucking sitting here in Chicago on a Monday.
Dude, it feels like we did so much shit outside, like deck, fix the fence and stuff like that. In freaking February, it feels like really, really weird. Retroactive cards and letting a midfielder throw the ball and problem solve. We fix footballs and the kickoffs, play it back, keep the possession. Let's not forget that. That's key. That is key. That's really bugging me. They're trying to reinvent the wheel. They're gonna find a way to get Blue Card sponsored. You know what? Actually, yes, I can see that. Actually, the Blue Card has like Amazon on it or something like that.
Oh
See
God,
that?
I mean,
right? Yeah, I can
yes,
see
no,
that.
yes, that thought really just played in my mind, and
Has
that's
like a smile
gross.
on it. He's like, I mean, the
Oh,
I have like so many questions about this, so I wish we could get somebody. Hey, if you guys know anybody that you can hook us up with in the audience that who actually is in this right now in some kind of grassroots level and has seen it in action. So let's say you take the guy for, can you just run onto the field afterwards, or does he have to wait for the fourth to send them in? Because that could end up being like 10, 30, 11 minutes now too. Because he
can
can,
you?
or is he like in a box like hockey where he just like fucking like comes out? So you're like on the left hand side looking around, and suddenly the dude like runs onto the pitch. How does that go? Oh, that's not bad. Viagra blue
That's a good
balls,
one too.
blue card. That is good as well. That is good as well.
Can you can
So
you
many opportunities.
can you imagine Bruno Fernandez getting a blue card and then 9:50 strikes on the timer and there's 10 seconds left and he's lining up like a lineman kicking his feet back like a bull like ready to get in there. And then it just as you hear just a big horn go through the stadium. That's what they're gonna do. Just put a big horn to allow the player to know that they can come back in. No, it's ridiculous, and I think because then like where can they enter from? You know, if it's a corner kick, can they just go run around the field and just pop in behind the goal? Like what? I don't know
Yeah.
what. So
And by the time they get there, they're like, shit, the ball is on the other side now. He's like,
it's silly. I think people are making a big thing out of nothing though because it's going to take a long time to ever see anything like that at a top league. But I don't know.
I know
Crazier
we
things
said this
have
about
happened.
VAR, I feel like.
Did
And
we?
then we did. And then you were like, oh shit, it's here.
Fuck.
Yeah, we weren't expecting you, kind of thing. I mean, it just like suddenly popped. They were like, ah, by the time they get that all set up and stuff like that, and it suddenly happened. Like I say, I have a lot of questions. I think it's very vague the way it's presented. And I think the biggest issue is even if we like the concept, we just have zero faith in execution and having it consistent execution. We're talking about consistency on fouls and like cards and stuff like that on things that are existing now. So you're gonna throw one more thing to be inconsistent about. I think that's where the skepticism comes from. Like, we published that club's quote, for example, about, yeah, they're just like trying to, it's almost like they're bored. They're like, we should do something with this game. What can we do? They're like, you know what? Let's come up with a new card or something. Like, it's just I don't understand why they would go after something like I don't understand what it brings, I guess. That's like they're trying to protect the refs was the main thing that I got out of it for dissent.
Yeah. Which I appreciate because I think that's a part of the game that I think most people are frustrated about is the antics that happen after calls. And you just kind of yes, you're allowed to be frustrated, but circling the ref, having 6, 7 of your guys, pretty much berating him in front of his face. This and like especially with VAR when things are getting checked having the ability to not go after the ref in those moments, I think it's just it would lead to a better product. Because I mean the game overall, the sport is really simple, right? I mean, you don't need to overcomplicate it. You don't need to add more things when you don't need to. It's a simple game. You have 22
Yeah.
guys on the pitch and Pep Guardiola's team wins in the end. It's a very simple game. But you have to also make sure that what you're doing isn't ruining the product too, because if the more you're adding, the worse it could get. It just I think I remember was it the UEFA president or was it I think it was one of the guys that was heading the Super League. He was talking about how they're trying to change the game a bit to make it more appealing to younger people,
Yes.
because the younger people were the ones that aren't really like falling in love with it as much,
So it's
and
your fault.
that's it is my fault. Personally, it's me. I went around to every single person and damaged their brains with TikTok and gave them 6-second attention spans. It was me. I'm the creator of the
It's
app too.
John's dancing
So
TikToks. That's what's to blame.
done. Yeah, I think that's the tough part. Is I understand that it's difficult to cater to a newer generation that's so um, it's so difficult for this newer generation to focus on one thing because of the internet, because of the apps, because of this and that. You need to feed these people like in 8-10 second spurts, otherwise you're going to lose them.
Look at you
But
talking like an old man. These people and stuff.
I
Wow, you've really grown. Right in front of our eyes over here on Monday
get the
mornings.
fuck off my lawn, Timogen. All right, calm down. Yeah, it's yeah. I don't. That's all I got for that.
Wow,
And
spoken like an old man. Who knew? Who knew? You
damn
know?
it, this is my final form, and
Yeah. Welcome to your Middle
I
Ages,
reached it
buddy.
at 31. I can't believe it. I can't believe it.
I mean, yeah, I don't understand the. I Going back to where you started with like the ref harassment thing. Well, I personally think this is almost faking it now because the ref can do it by showing a yellow card. So we're saying, wait, we want to get the sense out of the cards. Well, not to the point where it impacts the game though, and the guy gets a red card afterwards. So you're taking the yellow card away and introducing this new thing. Like, we'll put him on a timeout, like go stand in the corner for 10 minutes, and then he'll come back. Whereas per the rules now, he would show a yellow card if somebody's showing that dissent. We'll go. I mean, we talked about the inconsistency about it, but per rules, he can show the yellow card right now and say, "Hey, that's dissent." But the problem ends up being this is what FIFA is more worried about. That caused a lot of red cards now because the guy showed dissent earlier, and then he does this foul. Now he's red. So we open up a whole new category for dissents. So you can foul at your own pace, and then we'll show you this blue card for dissent separately so that it doesn't impact the full game. I feel like that's almost faking it. Like we care about protecting the referee, but not that much. Like we want
Yeah,
to still do this.
that's a good point. Yeah, and what if it's severe enough where they get a yellow and a blue together, and it mixes into a green card, and who knows what the punishment is for yellow and blue together? I mean,
Brought to
that's
you by
so
True
severe.
Green. Yes, by the way, I've seen okay,
uh, fucking
this is gonna
Christ.
be is it just me or I'm having Bellingham flashbacks over here?
Yeah,
We're like
we are
constantly on
setting ourselves up for so much disappointment. And
yes.
I could look back on this in 3 months and go, oh, thank God that I wasn't disappointed. But I'm also, I mean, I don't think it's the end of the world if we don't get Xabi Alonso as well. I'm not in that crowd, so it'll be fine. But yeah, can we just stop with all of that, please? And it's only gonna get worse the more Leverkusen wins, because especially after beating Bayern 3-0 and
Yep.
being atop of the league now, if they go on to win the league, as they keep winning, it is just going to get worse and worse and more annoying, and it could end up like the Bellingham situation where we end up really, really disappointed, and then we get really angry at Xabi Alonso for deciding to go Real Madrid. Like, how could he? How possibly could he when he
Yep.
doesn't necessarily deserve that? And at the end of the day, the guy's Spanish. Like, you're going to tell him not to go to Real Madrid?
Yeah, but I mean, didn't they just extend Angelotti?
They did, but didn't Klopp just extend as well?
True that. Yeah, but Klopp is leaving himself. Are you saying Angelotti will be like, I'm done?
Carlo's got a cigar waiting for him after this season. He's this is his last dance as well. We just don't know it, but the cameras are on.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, this Alonso watch kind of like worries me because it's almost like, what did Alonso have for breakfast? He had a pie. He must be coming to Liverpool. You know, it's just like everything is around it. And I've seen so much freaking clickbaits. And this is, by the way, we try really hard not to. It makes the growth a lot more organic, a lot slower. But we have a bunch of accounts that, we follow on like Instagram and stuff like that as American Scouts. I don't honestly follow them on my personal account because it would just get on my nerves. But we do as American Scouts to get news and stuff like that. And I mean, the amount of clickbait people post, man, like, oh, it's a done deal and stuff like that. Wait, like the guy is just over there in Leverkusen. Yeah, I mean, are you sold on him? Like, will you like if they announce it tomorrow? Will you be relieved?
Yeah, I will be relieved knowing that they're who the next manager is. I think 9 out of 10 guys that would come in, if we were told within the next few weeks, I would be okay with that, because then we would have a good idea. Fuck off. No Brendan Rodgers though. That's when I said 9 out of 10. He's the 1 out of 10 that I'm talking about that I would not be relieved about. Obviously, it's not going to happen, but it's funny. So I think there would be relief overall, because then we have an idea of what the direction is. I think the only problem right now is that there is a bunch of unknown, and whether it's Alonso, whether it's Zidane, whether it's De Zerbi, whatever it is, knowing who is coming in brings a little bit of relief because you know that there is a plan. Right now, it still
Yeah.
sort of feels like there isn't a plan. And at what point does it get too late where you start the plan on like a few steps behind, right? Because if you don't bring a guy in until late May, early June, I think because of some contract situations, that might be the case anyway. But if you agree with the manager coming in, there might be a little stuff that's being done already on the back end that we might not know of, that they might be getting something started. So there would be that relief, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it would be nice to know and get it out of the way, I guess. I mean, I'll be very happy just because I don't have to see more clickbait. Or this is going to be like Mbappe kind of an ordeal. Like it's going to be announced every other week and stuff. I mean, the part I don't get is I think Sergio was saying it. So Ancelotti extended it 1 season. If I'm Alonso, hey, this business is what have you done for me lately, right? So you gotta strike while the iron is hot, and you gotta take the opportunity then. So if Liverpool is available now, and then but Madrid might be available next season. If I'm Alonso, I am taking Liverpool because you don't know what's going to happen next season. It's almost like it's just like a player. Like you
Mhm.
gotta take the offer and the opportunity when you get it because you don't know if you're gonna get hurt the next season. You don't know how Bayer Leverkusen is gonna do the year after that. You don't know if freaking Bayern is gonna come in and be like, "Hey, we really like what you guys are doing over here, so we'll take him, him, him."
Thank you for your service, and we'll see you guys in 8 years.
Congratulations, you guys are the new Dortmund kind of a thing, and then just walk out. So you don't know what's going to happen, who you're going to lose, especially a team like Leverkusen, where you might end up selling a lot of your key guys. So you have a shit season. You're suddenly down to 4 or 5. Is Real as interested in you anymore as they were, or have they moved on to the next big thing? That's having a great season that year. That's why I would think like looking that far ahead doesn't make sense for anybody involved. I mean, Real can easily say, "Yeah, and then when he's gone, we'll take you." That's easy for Real to say. But when the time comes, Real might be like, yeah, well, I don't know, man. We've been thinking. We had a year to think about this. And now that you suck, we're going to take this guy instead, who seems to be doing really well in Italy or whatever. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I would think he would sign whatever is available and he's not going to go back and forth. Ryan says, I appreciate the lack of clickbait from you guys. Yes, that's why. But then the flip side of that is, Ryan, I have to tell you guys to go drag people by the ear. So you're gonna take the good with the bad, and that's why we kind of really rely on the word of mouth and stuff like that more than anything else, because we can't just make up shits just to get what? Wait, what happened? Alonso is coming, and he's bringing Mbappe and Coutinho with him. It goes, just to
And
get the
Frimpong,
maximum
just to
amount of.
replace Bradley and Trent at the right back role. I think. Oh, sorry, really quick before that. I also think Xabi, he is young enough in his managerial career and young enough overall where he would have another chance at one of those clubs again.
That's fair.
Like,
Yeah.
you give him 30 years coaching, I think he's going to get one or two opportunities at whatever club. I mean, not to actually go and work at the club, but be given the possible opportunity to work at the club. I think I understand where you're coming from with if things are going well, you take what you can at the moment. But if things are going so well and you're in your late 30s, early 40s, and you've got a lot of time left still, you could potentially take less of a risk on that.
Well, tell you what, if Steven Gerrard is watching right now, he's like, so there is. So you're saying there's a
Oh,
chance?
yeah, just don't go to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, that's a good point in terms of like the age. Um, and you would think, but and they get recycled, I guess. Yeah, that is a good point. I mean, these guys get recycled. So even if he came to Liverpool and he didn't succeed,
They're all picking
he
from the
goes
same
somewhere
pool of
else.
guys all the time.
Pretty
It's hard.
much.
It's difficult to have one manager or have several managers break the rank of like the top brain trust, if you will, of managers because they tend to just carousel around.
Yeah, especially some guys that I think some managers have a style. I mean, this used to be 7 years for Klopp, for example. We used to say all the
Mhm.
time, right? Like there's like a shelf life. Like for Mourinho, it's like a year.
3.
But like, but yeah, there's like a shelf life of how long your method actually goes, because your method is kind of like beats people down, and you can only beat people down for so long. You got to move on to a new set of players to beat down on. Um, so it is very possible that it gets recycled. I mean, soccer world is not as bad as like NBA or something like that, where
It's a
it's like,
much more,
dude,
concentrated.
yeah, it's like, dude, isn't this like, have you like literally coached every team in the NBA now, kind of a deal? But there are some managers like look at their resumes and it's like freaking like 20 teams and 13 seasons somehow and stuff like that. But they don't get recycled as much. But I think a name like that, especially if he wins the Bundesliga, which is really odd. I mean, basically winning the Bundesliga is kind of like winning the French league away from FSG at this point. And yeah, I mean, this would be ridiculously comical if Kane goes there and brings Tottenham with him.
Spurs gonna Spurs, baby. Him and Dyer together. It's great. It's absolutely great.
Oh, that's right. They got yeah. You would think Bayern would be like, you know what we need? More Tottenham players.
They know how to win, right? Right?
We like true winners on this team. Let's go get some more Tottenham players. He changes the assistant every 2 years. Yes, that was my secret to management. You got to rotate the assistants a little bit, so that they get go around and beat up people more accordingly. Yeah, because you gotta. I mean, one, you gotta change the voice, right? And you gotta. I mean, in his case, you change the assistant. You're changing the bridge, because usually the assistant is the bridge, in between like the players to the
Mm.
and the captains to the manager and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, it's really hard to kind of keep going for that many years, man. I mean, that's like I respect those guys. I mean, look at what Klopp has done, and that's why I think is he the most tenure right now,
In the
right?
Premier League, yeah.
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 So is it gonna be Pep when he leaves,
Yes.
right? Unless
Yeah.
the Chargers come and then he'll be running away like crazy. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like I say, apart from if I delete my Sunday memories a little bit, good weekend overall. Get the 3 points. Continue. The Trent injury, I did not see anything on it yesterday.
I didn't either.
I
Because
didn't know if it was something like he felt it again. It was like precautionary, or it was bad. That's why he came out and stuff. I'm sure it was not tactical,
yeah.
because I don't think Klopp is watching what I'm saying. So
Well, and if he is, Jurgen, grab a guy by the ear and get him to get on the show. Get him to watch. Damn it.
yeah, because otherwise we're gonna post some clickbait like Klopp signed a new extension, changed his mind or something like that. Would Klopp change his mind? I don't know. It's
He told me personally.
Trans knee against says Cersei. Yeah, Cersei always has the information behind the scenes over here. I don't know. You would think Bradley would be back soon, if not right away.
Yeah.
I mean, we are talking about this last week. Everybody deals with loss a different way. I don't know how bad. The bad parts that I see, and like Cersei said, I think we did the same with Soboslai and Trent, and rushed them back too early and unnecessarily, because we were. I think it was giving an opportunity to these guys who don't get opportunities, like Bradley. I mean, I realized Bradley was not there, but it was probably smarter to throw Robertson on the left and Gomez on the right. But obviously, we're kind of like looking back and making up the decision now. But it does look bad that they got injured right away, and pretty much the same injuries.
Yeah. It's one of those things where um, it's part of the body that can keep getting re-aggravated, right? And it's hard to necessarily tell when you are 100% because you could absolutely feel 100%, but it all it takes is one weird pivot, right? You take one weird step, you make one quick turn, and you just feel it again. And so it's hard to really know when you're at 100 because you could feel great, but it just takes that one moment.
Yeah, I'm perfectly fine with the Trent injury right now. Let Bradley run and see what happens. Yeah, I would think the kids would be ready to come back, and it could be. I know it's kind of like a weird ordeal, because I thought I read somewhere that, I mean, you're never ready for losing somebody, but you can suddenly lose somebody, and you can almost start thinking of the scenarios in your head and stuff like that. Those are like two very different things and stuff like
Yeah,
that. And
like if we had not seen Bradley play as well as he has, or if he didn't play, then I think we would be sitting here a little bit more worried, thinking, "Fuck, is Curtis Jones going to be the right back?" But thankfully Gomez is healthy, and I think that's going to be a huge boost. Whether it's Gomez or Bradley, especially with Robbo back, with Costas back, I mean, there's elements now that you could feel more comfortable with, knowing that there is at least some
yeah,
backup there. And I think Gomez getting sick was the best thing for him because he was due to get hurt, and him being forced to be out because he was sick allowed that not to happen. I think that's huge because we've seen in the past, like, he's great, but he's not necessarily, you can't expect him to get so many games at a time. And I think having that one game forced out is going to be a really nice thing for him.
yeah. I mean, like I say, since Robertson is back now, even if you don't play Bradley, I'm very comfortable with playing Gomez there because he has done really well over there, even doing the inverted thing at times, like when needed. But he does stay out of like wide a lot more, and he's has like whipped in some good balls himself, and he has that pace, and he's a good defender. So I think I'm fine with either one of them, kind of like deputizing for now. And I mean, looking like maybe not for definitely for Saboslai, but for Trent, we might not even have him in the final, which we did not have him. We had Bradley going against Chelsea, right? Isn't that where he scored the goal and stuff? That was the game, right? So I think, yeah, it's not as big of a concern thanks to the depth. I can see this uh, year or two ago being like the end of the season, the number of injuries we have right now. Still say Bradley as of now, keep Gomez as a backup for everyone. I think so too. I think Bradley starts, the natural right back starts, and then Gomez comes on the bench. The only issue I have is like in a final and stuff like that is not too much pressure for a kid. You put the experienced Gomez who's been there, done that, and won everything. So
I mean, Klopp has shown that he has the trust, though. I mean, like Kelleher having both of the cup finals a couple years ago. So I could definitely see that Klopp will know better than anyone about Bradley's mentality going into it. I think, right. So I think if he would start him in the final, I think it's a good sign that Klopp does believe in where he's at mentally. But if Gomez, let's say, would get the start, then it's one of those. He's just still pretty young and not ready.
yeah,
But like Ryan's saying, he does look fearless. I mean, he looks young, but he feels older. You know what I mean? It's just it's one of those things.
yeah, he doesn't look like I gotta make sure I don't fuck up. Like he doesn't play like that. He just plays like I play, and I know that's what these kids are told. But being told and being able to actually do it, tell your brain I'm just going to go do my thing, it is what it is really
Yeah,
difficult for a kid that age getting an opportunity to play for Liverpool and stuff like that in the big scene. So I mean, kudos to him to be able to do that. The managers are always going to tell you that, you do you, man, don't worry about this, blah blah blah. But yeah, it is going to, it's pretty impressive. Does Bradley start?
that's
See,
too
no.
far away. Also,
Not to
I don't
mention,
think we
yeah,
can
it's too
even.
far away, but I still put like in something like that. If I'm making a decision, I'm probably putting Gomez, just because of the experience overall. Not that he doesn't get caught, or anything like that, but still, I think I go with the experience. Well, time to land this helicopter. What? Okay, tower, we're landing. God, I hate this thing. Okay, I think I have to put up with it until I get the other until I somehow fix my sound issues over
And if
here.
you look out the right window, you see Taylor Swift out there with the Super Bowl trophy. There she goes.
So Monday, obviously, is grooming day for the Wilomek households.
Not
Uh,
today.
no, nobody's getting groomed today.
No.
Everybody is letting it out loose.
Ugh. We're gonna go on a nice long family walk because it's 45 degrees out in February, which is great.
Dude, it is amazing. It is amazing. I don't know if it's like this everywhere, but it is really shocking. I don't know. I mean, are we done, or we? This is Chicago. Come
Oh,
end of February, we're gonna get smacked with like
it's
something.
we're no, it's gonna be cold. We'll probably get snow in like early June because of how mild the winter is. I'm not kidding. Like, that's what my worry is, that the winter has been so mild that we are not going to feel the effects of summer for a while. And I would like to, before we close anything out, I would like to say, um, obviously, to you, I won't be here next Monday. I will be in Spain. So
Oh, that's
anyone,
right.
if anyone in the comments has ever been to Madrid or Barcelona and you have any recommendations of something that I must see, or I mean, I'm not going by myself, that my wife and I must see, let me know. Obviously, if you don't care, that's fine. You don't have to tell me that as well. But if you find something, just let us know in our Discord if there's anything that you would recommend, and I would appreciate that. Thanks. Bye.
Now taking recommendations. Doing the Hot Ones
Ooh,
Wing Challenge. Um, Wait, do you have that little bottle? I've only like we go on a YouTube hole sometimes, so I've watched a couple of episodes of people I actually like, just like watched it, and I know that little bottle there, that's 8 or something like that, is the torturous one. So did you get all these bottles? Because that's interesting. That's
fun
interesting.
fact. Fun fact: the host of Hot Ones, Sean Evans, went to the same high school as I did at the same time.
So he's your classmates, in other words.
He's a couple years older, but we were in
Oh, okay,
school at the
okay.
same time. Yeah. So,
I
um,
honestly really like his questions.
oh, they're
I
great. Yeah.
I hate his delivery.
I mean, he's,
Maybe because
I,
his mouth was burning as he's asking
I,
the questions too, but I
yeah,
hate his delivery of how he asks the questions. I think they're really, really good questions. Like, wow. And you can tell like the person getting the question has not gotten the question before. But the way he delivers the questions is like, I don't know,
do you think
not
it's a
my
little
thing.
awkward? Or
Yes.
yeah, it's a little, it's very dry. But to
Yes.
his credit, it's been the same for like 6 years or whatever it is. So, yeah,
Feels
it's,
very impersonal. It almost feels like he's reading somebody else's question. Which I mean, I'm
and he
sure
probably
he's reading the
is.
producer's question, but he's reading like it's like Matush from Chicago likes to know, what's your favorite fruit? Like that's how he asks the question, even though
Sure.
it's like a really well thought out question.
Yeah, and I get that. I get that. 12 bucks a sauce, that's not bad.
That is
If you
bad, isn't
can,
it?
well, no, if it's a full bottle, $12. I mean, okay, maybe. Oh, maybe now that I say that,
That is
that's.
high, man.
I once bought a bottle of hot sauce for like $30. So in my head, $12 is nothing.
Oh, Mister Big Bucks over there. So, and was it good? What is it, like a truffle or something?
No, it wasn't even a truffle. It was called The
A
End.
scam.
Wait,
It's called what?
The End. Let me try to remember if it was the same one that I'm thinking
See
of.
what you did, Ryan. Now we're gonna be talking wings and sauces.
Yeah, it's called The End hot sauce. It's 27.99. Here, look at what I can
Oh, the
do.
flatline one.
This one.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Whoops.
And the verdict is you got
Spicy.
scammed, or
No, it was
it's
it's hot.
hot. Like,
I I like spicy. It was pretty fucking rough. Won't lie. My stepbrother, my sister, and I all did a little dab of it, and they were in tears. They were dying. But I was. It wasn't great for me, but I
look at
survived.
you telling like a story, like I caught a fish one time this big. Like, I was chugging that thing, Tim.
I remember going to this called the Pepper Palace. It's in
Yeah,
Woodfield, and I remember going in there, and there was a couple in front of me that spent. I was in line, or I just walked in, and I heard the total. They said like $120, and I was thinking to me, I was like, how could anyone spend $120 on hot sauce? And then I
it's
ended up
Ryan.
going up to going up to the cash register and buying this. It was like, it'll be $30. And I was like, oh, that's how. It's just
Did they
four of
have four
these.
of these?
Yeah.
Well, that was probably you were probably behind Ryan. Eat a banana beforehand. Okay, because let's not go there. But going out is probably the tougher part for me. I love spicy, but you don't want spicy so torturous that you can't even enjoy it.
Yeah, right. I mean, and that's the thing is some of these is just meant for just the novelty of it, and
Okay.
then for other spicy stuff, it's to actually enjoy the taste, right? And I think there is a level that you get to at the end where it's like that's just not even worth it to eat because it's not enjoyable. It's hell on earth.
Yeah, it's just torture. I mean, the challenge is one thing. You're kind of like doing it and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, the last two or three are ridiculous. So you've already tested that bottle. I just want to like I don't know,
Just
and
smell
I'm
it.
gonna, yeah, I just want to like get a drop to see what tells you. The problem is you buy a bottle like that. I mean, on this, you kind of like doing like hosting weekly challenges over here. I don't know if you're ever going to use that because I don't see myself saying like, you look at you're like, oh, you know what? I'll grab that and torture myself tonight, kind of a thing, and just like put a drop in it or
Yeah,
something like
it's like
that.
I had a really rough day today at work. I want to make myself, I want to hate myself even more. Let me grab this bottle of hot sauce that's sitting here that I know is going to just ruin me.
After that 49ers loss, I could have just been like, just chugging it down, put my sorrows away, really cry it off. Okay, well, now you're not here next week. Barcelona and Madrid things incoming. And then you can join live from there. There's gonna be like,
It won't be the morning show for me though.
yeah, it will
Won't
be
make
like the
sense.
afternoon. You can get at a cafe, like espresso or something like that. But yes, so I'll be back tonight with the boys. 7 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Eastern. We'll do the Monday podcast over here. And then again, obviously, Wednesday morning we'll be back. Do not forget to like, subscribe, and I will threaten you with clickbait if you don't go drag somebody by the ear and come over here. Don't make me do Mbappe post, people. So, yeah, just as always, thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. And then, like I say, we'll be back tonight. You enjoy your non grooming day. And then I guess I'll head to work. Have a great week, everybody. See you guys soon.